Okay, y'all, we back, and this is part 3 of me explaining to y'all what actually happened, what I think actually happened with the double murder that YNW Melly is on trial for. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, I would suggest, if you don't know anything about the trial, go back and watch part 1 and part 2, because I explain how the trial even came about and the first mistake that the prosecution made in their case. The reason why I'm taking y'all backwards before I go forwards and reveal to y'all my theory is because I don't want y'all to get lost in the sauce of what I say and be trying to figure out how the hell did you come to that conclusion. So I'm telling y'all all the evidence that I got leading up to me getting this idea, so that when I tell y'all the theory, it'll make sense. So where I left off, if you tuned in and you up to date, is that I was telling y'all how the prosecution was trying to prove that the cell phone was actually Melly's cell phone. And this is a cell phone that, if you have common sense, you know it's Melly's cell phone, but the prosecution can prove it's Melly's cell phone beyond reasonable doubt. Now, the reason that the prosecution wants to prove that this is Melly's cell phone is because of the specific motive that they're trying to present, or the motive that they're insinuating is the reason that he would kill his best friends. Now, if you know anything about law, maybe you don't, a motive isn't always necessary, but it always helps the prosecution. And the reason why a motive helps is because as human beings, and this is thinking in terms of the juror, we like stories. We like things to make sense. It's like the reason that you're watching me tell y'all about this right now. So if you're going to sit here and try to convince 12 people that this man killed his best friends, you better have a damn good reason as to why, if you want me to believe you. Because the average person, they ain't often their best friends. Unless they have a really good reason. Let's just say the reason that the prosecution is presenting is, y'all know the rest. Because the prosecution is trying to say that Melly killed his best friends to prove loyalty to a gang called G-Shine, which is a factor of Bloods, I guess, in Florida. Now, the thing about it is, if you know anything about gang banging or being a part of a gang, most people prove their loyalty to their gang by going to get the ops, not by going to get their best friends. So the question arises, why would the prosecution even think that the G-Shine Bloods and that whole thing had anything to do with this murder? This is why they want to tie the phone to Melly. It's in the text messages. But the route that they took with these text messages, I don't know if they was reading what we was reading, but it wasn't giving what it was supposed to give. So the prosecution presented a series of text messages, and in these text messages you have, I'm just going to call them lieutenants, but basically like higher ups in this G-Shine gang trying to recruit Melly to be a part of the gang. And initially it seemed as though Melly was interested. So they had sent him over to his emails, which that's proof that they had, ynwmellybooking.com. It was all on the screen. Sent them over his email, and they had sent him some laws attached to the gang and what he had to uphold, what type of person he wanted to be, and things like that. It was a whole little science that, I'm going to be honest, I didn't even know gangs was into all that. It kind of made it seem like, a community center the way it was set up. But somewhere along this process of Melly getting recruited into the G-Shines, it became very apparent in the messages he wasn't interested, which is why it raises the question. The prosecution wants to bring these messages into evidence and try to say that this is the motive for Melly killing his best friends. So initially, Melly was receiving messages from these people, and it was probably about like 3 dudes. One of them was named Gino. One of them he was calling Herc, and then it was someone else. I can't remember the name. But all 3 of these men are basically messaging Melly about becoming a part of G-Shine, and they're basically telling him what's required of him. So they treated him like a little homie. But it wasn't really giving little homie since he was having big money. So whereas initially Melly was very attentive, he was responding, it seemed as though they was building some type of relationship, Melly just went cold turkey, and he stopped responding to these people for periods of 20 days to up to a whole month. He just was not responding to their messages. So all 3 of the men were texting him to like check on him, and the messages went from very much being like, oh bro, what you want, like trying to build a relationship, to it started to seem like they was resenting him for not texting back. Like the messages started getting very, very angry. In the words of the defense, he characterized it as love letters, and that's what it was given. It was a whole lot of passion.